Hey everyone, welcome back to the TFL Podcast. We are here to preview the Week 18 NFL Main Slate. I'm here with my mate Arch. How are you, buddy?
Oh, look, doing good. Just glad to be here, Ron. Last Main Slate of the year. What a weird feeling it is.
It's sad, really, because it's our bread and butter of DFS here for the NFL season. But yeah, it's the last one. And Week 18 is always a weird one. We're going to get into the weirdness of Week 18 in a little bit. But before we do that, just may I remind you that where you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at the TFL Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, then please take the time to like and subscribe. Hit that bell to make sure that you're notified of when we go live each and every Thursday night. Podcasts as well, 5-star reviews. We'd love to see it. Love to see it. That'd be always very welcome. Now, if you haven't played Draftstars before, but you'd like to give it a shot for this weird and wacky Week 18, then you can use the link bit.ly/join Draftstars. And, of course, we have our listener contest, the TFL Podcast contest that you can find in the Draftstars lobby, but also at bit.ly/TFL Week 18 as well. It's come and play against us. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun this week. So, Patreon's back as well. If you want to get access to Archer's phenomenal spreadsheet, including rostership projections, patreon.com/the TFL Podcast. It's $5 a month. And we do that into the playoffs. And this is the thing. We're not just stopping here, right? Okay, while the main slate stuff is finishing up, we are heading into the playoffs and all the way to the Super Bowl. We'll be previewing the weekend as it comes. And I'm excited. There's going to be a lot of great stuff happening. Now, before we get into it, obviously, Week 17 of the NFL finished really on a really somber note. And our thoughts go out to, obviously, Damar Hamlin and his family and friends and the whole Buffalo Bills team, really. So let's just think about them for a while. It's odd, I think, at times like this to kind of think about football, sports, thinking about the fun and the great all the great stuff that comes along with it. But, of course, when you have something life-threatening happen on the field, as Damar did, you just got to take a moment to pause. And so, maybe you're not watching tonight on Thursday because, hey, you can't really think about NFL just yet. But, look, there's another week of stuff happening. There's playoffs coming on. And when we're ready, we'll tackle it. We'll get into the next week of football. But, first and foremost, thoughts with Damar and his family. Arch, anything you want to talk about in terms of Week 18 before we get into matchups? What's this week like? It's a funky one.
It's crazy. Like, it's kind of like almost like Week 1, but worse. Like Week 1, you don't know all the player roles necessarily, all the snap shares. Week 18, it just takes away all logic because there's teams that don't want to win. There's teams that don't care if they win or lose. There's teams that absolutely need to win. And depending on what team, a player's on, we may see them or we may not. Or we'll just get them for a half. And so really tonight is just navigating, all right, what's the scenarios here for these teams? Are we going to get a full 4 quarters out of these players that we can trust in a DFS tournament? Or are we just going to be left wanting, holding the bag? So you can look at it two ways. You could look at it as, all right, this is a week I might just dial down my action compared to other weeks. I won't put in as much as my bankroll in just because I'm not confident I got a full handle on it. Or you could see it as an opportunity because a lot of people are going to go in not thinking it completely through, and so if you think you've got an edge that way, maybe that's an opportunity. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of value pieces that will just come out of nowhere, and so it's just a tricky slate.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a crapshoot. I think that's the reality here is that we need to be mindful of what we can predict and what we can project going forward into this week. Because there's not always heaps. But one of the things that we'll focus on as we talk through it, we're not going to talk super specifically about players and defensive stats and all that kind of stuff tonight, but we're just going to think about, okay, who's motivated to be on the field? Because it's that motivation that informs us about whether they're going to play or not. And the playoff picture, the playoff scenarios that come out are really relevant this week because there are teams that have no shot at the playoffs, and pretty much for me and Arch, it's going to be a total avoid. Just let's get away because who knows who they're going to play? Are they going to play some rookies? Are they going to play the third string backups that just to see what they've got? So you can't do anything with that. It becomes a bit preseason like. But there are games that really do matter, and so we're going to focus in on them. So Arch, without further ado, let's hit the button and get into the matchups for Week 18. Yo.
Oh no.
I'm waiting. I'm holding my breath.
It's not hitting. Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh. Week 18 preview. Ha! What the heck?
We got there. Yeah, here we are.
Dead set hit it like 4 times, and it said play, and it wasn't going. So,
well, we got it. And we're going to start off with well, they're all different games, which I think is just smart from the NFL to make this last week feel like it's got some air to it by making them divisional games. It means that the playoff picture is always dictated to in terms of this. So anyway, the first game we're going to look at this week is Cincinnati taking on Baltimore at Cincinnati. And, well, of course, Cincinnati involved in the cancelled game. We don't know what's happening with that. So,
we know they're not playing this week anyway.
That's right. They're not playing Buffalo this week. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, Cincinnati are playing Baltimore for potentially Baltimore potentially, if they win this, could still have a shot at taking out the division. There's a lot of tricky things that are going along with all of this. So let's just talk about the Bengals to start off with. Obviously, figuring things out in the final 2 contests, but they can win the AFC North title with a win over the Ravens. Okay, that's really important. Okay, and so they can earn the division title and the number 1 seed in the AFC if they win both. If they still play Buffalo, if that happens and they get 2 wins, they could potentially take the number 1 seed in the AFC if the Chiefs lose to the Raiders, which is going to happen the day before. So the Bengals will know that or not coming into this game. Either way, they want to win. You want to win the division. So I'm trusting that the Bengals are going to be pretty motivated to be out on the field. And so that's really, really important. Now, the Ravens will be somewhat motivated because they've already been given a playoff opportunity. That's already theirs to take. It's really about what seed they get. Look, they're going to lock into the 6th seed even if they lose to the Bengals. So the Ravens don't have as much going for them. And, of course, we want competitive contests here, but they're few and far between this week in terms of where both sides are going to go at it. If anything, the most exciting one is the Detroit-Green Bay game, but that's unfortunately on Sunday night, not part of the main slate.
Yes.
So I'm looking at this going, okay, Cincinnati really want to win and Baltimore kind of want to win. Now, within all of that, these are athletes. They play this game. They love this game. They're going to be out there. I'm also unsure a little bit of what Cincinnati are going to be like after the toll of Monday Night Football. So there's question marks around this game. We've got to think about where that might lead the effort of both of these teams, whether Cincinnati will be recalling from that experience or not. Either way, I'm looking at this game going, okay, if we get premium Cincinnati, what have Baltimore been doing defensively after the last little while? Well, they've actually been really middle tier when it comes to defending the pass. They've been, I think, 17th in pass EPA allowed over the last 4 weeks. Now, they've been pretty solid over the whole year in terms of defense, especially rush defense. But the last 4 weeks, both the rushing EPA and the pass defense EPA, pretty middle ground. Okay? And so when you've got that middle tier kind of type stuff happening, well, I'm definitely not afraid to attack that at all, especially with an offense like the Bengals, who are passing at the highest rate over the last 4 weeks. Not the highest, the 3rd highest. They are, however, 1st in pass rate over expectations. So I'm loving this for the pass catchers here. So we've got Jamar Chase, we've got T. Higgins, we've got Tyler Boyd, and any 3 of these guys can go off. This is when all three are healthy, I love what this team brings. They play their positions really perfectly, to be honest. Chase and Higgins on the outside, Boyd on the middle. It's where they're made to play. These guys aren't really going to move off of that. And so if we're going to see this high-octane offense moving forward, then I'm happy to stack Joe Burrow for sure against the Ravens here. Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, any of them involved in those stacks. Hayden Hurst came back. Now, take that first drive on Monday night for what you will, but Hurst was involved early. And so he was back in the action, which was I really love to see that. Hurst is a really solid addition to this team this year, and so I always like to think about how can I correlate my tight end spot with other places in my lineup. Well, then you've got to include Hayden Hurst in your player pool if you're stacking the Cincinnati offense. So that's kind of where I sit with them. The running backs, look, Joe Mixon. Yeah, I always love pulling the game log up because you get to just look at that 58.1 that he pulled up with that 5-touchdown game. It was ridiculous. Excuse me. But, yeah, Joe Mixon, he's been okay. He's just been okay. He's priced at 14,000. If Cincinnati get up early, I honestly don't know. Like, if they know they're going to win, then Joe Mixon will be in there a bit. But surely then they push P. Ryan back into it because they know how serviceable he is.
And I think, Rowan, I was reading, P. Ryan's actually, I think, about 100 yards away from a significant cash incentive. And so coaches often like to give him. So P. Ryan actually could be the piece here. If they get up comfortably, that they just move on him.
For sure. Hey, yeah, this is the week that I'm kind of like, yeah, I could throw some backups into my lineups for sure. Yep. And so if you're into those incentives, then that's a great pick, Arch.
I mean, you got to ask yourself, are they going to win with P. Ryan instead of Mixon? Absolutely.
Yeah, 100% they will. If they can give Mixon another bit of a rest before the playoffs, fantastic. Love that. So it's again, this is what we're saying. It's a narrative week. What's the narrative that you're going to build to think through your lineup? So yeah, we've got to think that through for sure. On Baltimore's side, look, everyone's got question marks about Lamar Jackson. I just don't think he's going to play. Harbaugh is super skittish about any questions when it comes to Lamar Jackson. So let's just avoid and assume that, well, you can't even assume that Huntley's going to play because he's questionable as well. But the reality is you're not stacking Baltimore. Like, this is not this is not where you want to go with that. No. All right, so let's avoid Baltimore. Except for potentially J.K. Dobbins. And J.K. Dobbins, high usage, 93 yards rushing on the ground. I don't mind it because this is the way they want to play. They want to play on the ground. So J.K. Dobbins is the guy that I don't mind. If you're thinking about backups and if Baltimore are kind of like, we don't care who we play this week, and they want to save Dobbins because they are making the playoffs. And then actually, if you're looking at snap share, it is actually Justice Hill who played 33% of the snaps last week. Gus Edwards had a mere 17% of the snaps last week, which is surprising considering he had 40% of the snaps the week before. But the reality is, the only reason you'll be doing that is because you want to correlate. I don't really want to correlate necessarily because I think the Cincinnati passing offense is just too good, and the Baltimore Ravens really just aren't. They're not bringing anything to the table except for Mark Andrews, but priced at $10K. Look, he did solid last week against Pittsburgh, 9 for 100, and that's because he is the offense through the air, really, and that's about it.
That's it. Anything
else you want to say for this, Arch? Because it's really, for me, it's stacking-wise, it's the Cincinnati passing offense bringing back with either Andrews or Dobbins. There's nothing else to this, really, is there?
No, I think Cincinnati should be up and about for this game, so, happy with them. Let's move on.
Let's go. Next up, we've got New England at Buffalo. There's something to play here. Something to play for here for both teams.
Exactly. So both teams want to win this game. So this is potentially where we actually get one of the few pure contests of the week where both teams have it on the line. It's not just one needing to get a lead and then they can rest their starters. So if this keeps within 2 touchdowns throughout the game, we're going to see a full 4 quarters out of all the pieces. So I like that. But what's tricky is obviously thinking about Buffalo and where's their heads at for this week. So obviously with what's going on with Hamlin, maybe there seems to be some very slow, slight positive news coming, but I mean, I don't quite, no one really knows. I think it's all behind closed doors. But the players probably know a lot more than us, and it's really hard. That they might come out of this motivated to go out and play for him, or they might just be emotionally spent and just can't face the field. Like you got to feel for the players just having a front up, less than a week after witnessing what they've just witnessed. So, game environment looks good of it, but I'm just keeping that in my mind with my Buffalo. Like, do I want to go? How hard do I want to go in? So to me, it's keep a close eye on news. Like if obviously there's more important things than DFS, but if you're playing DFS, it's worth just monitoring. How are the team traveling? Like follow some beat reporters for Buffalo just to get a bit of a sense of if this team's going into this game caring about the game, basically. So with that in mind, let's just run through. Bills are the current second seeds, and they'll be the AFC East champs. They need 2 wins to guarantee jump over KC. They will with 2 wins. So starters should be playing. They need at least 1 win and Kansas City to lose this week also. So that's the other alternative for them to get it. So they on paper they want to win to get that first seed, to get that bye. New England also can book a wild card spot with a win over the Bills, so they should be full go. So like I said, I think this is should be a competitive game. So I just thought we'd just jump straight in, Ron. I'm not going to over talk it, but just how we might stack these teams. And so quarterback wise, it's Josh Allen, right? So I mean, Mac Jones is under 10K. You could go there if you want to. Could be okay, but you're probably not going to get the ceiling to win a tournament there. So Allen and Diggs are the obvious combo, but Diggs, just pull up his game log, Ron. The big games have been a bit few and far between.
There it is.
Hey?
Yeah, sorry. It's been a tricky one.
Yeah, that's right. So to me, it's looking at that. I think these two were our fades of the week a couple of weeks ago, and the reason was you're spending, 32% of your salary cap on these guys. You need 60 points from them, and you're probably not going to get that. Especially, it's a tough task at New England. So to me, I'll pair them in a couple lineups if I'm playing like a whole bunch in the micro. But to me, it's looking at the other pieces. And the other one that maybe stands out to me is McKenzie. We're going to scroll down a little bit.
Here we are.
Rowan. And I mentioned incentives before. He's got 40 catches. And where is he? He's got 40 catches on the year for 404 yards. If he hits 450 yards, he gets an extra 100K bonus. If he hits 50 receptions, he'll get another 50K bonus. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get 10 catches. That's a huge game. But I think at least for someone who's, 7.4K, I think you could see that, all he needs is 50 yards and he gets his 100K. I think the coaches would try to work that into the game plan potentially, get him out there. So I think he's a nice little pairing option. And the other, obviously, the other pieces are Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox that you want to cycle through with as pass catchers. But the other, I'm probably just jumping all over a bit for you, Rowan.
Yeah, that's all right.
But mainly because we've been playing Buffalo stacks all year, right? And so it's the same old story. You got to just pick your guys. But we know the guys now. But one that has maybe just started to show out a little bit more is James Cook.
He's been 3 out of the last 4 weeks. Really decent.
Yeah. I think he's over 5 yards a carry. Seems to be just clearly it's Singletary on some early down work, but James Cook's taken some of that work away from him. And he's a lot more electric in the field and is going to have that home run speed. I think James Cook is potentially where I'll be going, veering away from Diggs, stacking an Allen with James Cook and maybe a McKenzie. I think that's way that trio will be quite different from the field
for sure.
And if it pays off, you're jumping leaderboards. Bringing it back is the interesting part, and I think you can bring it back.
Yeah.
And so Ramondre.
Well, New England want to win.
Exactly.
They want to win into the playoffs.
So Ramondre, he's been a bit lean the last couple of weeks. I think, we know what he's capable of. 12K is, good value there. Jacoby Myers also is someone that you can depend on. 9K, probably a good cash wide receiver option this week. And someone else who's been just working his way into just a whole lot of routes is, what's his name? Thornton.
Yes, he has. He's been around the mark, and I like it. As he's got that rookie
That's a 6K
edge to him.
Yeah.
So
Where is he? So
3
last
for
week,
60 on
86% routes. 86% routes. Compare that to, say, a Kendrick Bourne who only had 47% route participation. And his targets per route run, Thornton was 0.23 targets per route run, whereas Kendrick Bourne was only 0.12. So I think if you're looking at what's a secondary passing option, it's them. or you go Hunter Henry on the tight end.
Yeah.
Didn't do much, but he's definitely out there on the field. 92% of routes last week. 5K, getting 10 points. You take that from your punt tight end.
He can have a game. He can have games.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I think there's lots of bring back pieces. So I think this game you can fill in a lot of, probably go 10 to 20 micro entries just in this game alone.
Yeah, for sure. Hey Peachy, great to have you on the stream, mate. Welcome.
Cheers.
Welcome. We're going to talk about your team next, actually, Peachy, and that's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Giants. Now, let's talk about the reality of this game, and that is Philly are playing for the number 1 seed in the NFC. It's great. Love it. We want to see peak Philadelphia because we haven't seen that we didn't see it last week. Saw a pretty good Philadelphia 2 weeks ago, but couldn't hack it against the Cowboys. Look, if I'm looking here, I'm thinking about Jalen Hurts. He's priced up 17.5K. But, you look at the scores and what he can do is pretty darn good. It is a must-win. Yes. So, I really want Jalen Hurts to play. They really want Jalen Hurts to play because we want this bye and we want to get everyone healthy. The ironic thing is that Jalen Hurts isn't quite healthy. He's limited in practice this week. So, look, if we get Hurts, then everything's in play. And that would be fantastic. Let's just quickly mention the Giants, though. The Giants have locked up the 6th seed, and they can't do anything else about it. There's nothing else to do here. They've got the 6th seed, and they can't improve it. They can't lose it. So the motivation here for the Giants is really minimal. And so you have to think about, okay, what does that mean in terms of game script? So when I'm thinking about this game, the possible scenario here is that Philly get up by a lot because they end up playing the starters against backups, and by the halfway mark of the game, it's 30-3, and then suddenly Philly they can let off some steam, and maybe Gardner Minshew comes in because they know that they don't want to hurt Jalen Hurts anymore, and so they want him to rest, and so there's question marks here. Now, if the Giants somehow seem to challenge Philly with their backups, then, there's a game. And you can play this, and there's some fantastic options to tackle. But that's the big thing here. What Giants team are we getting to challenge this Eagles offense? So, Jalen Hurts, if he plays, you can play him. He's expensive, but I think he's certainly in play for what he can provide. Now, if he's in play, I think that brings Dallas Goedert back into the mix. So Peachy, who's listening and suggested that as well, yes, I think Goddard can be a really solid play here because him and Hurts have a great connection, and I love that. With Minshew, it wasn't so flash. 3 for 45, 3 for 67. Whatever. But before that, 3 for 23 and 1, 8 for 101 back in early November. There was a bit of time there. Obviously, he missed with injury. So coming back into it, he should be pretty healthy now and give him his number 1 quarterback, and I like that a lot. The interesting thing here is A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. There is a $3,800 difference between these two guys, and the scoring output from the last few weeks is just not showing that at all. Now, The last 2 weeks have been with Gardner Minshew. AJ Brown hasn't eclipsed more than 20. Devonta Smith had 2 fantastic weeks with Gardner Minshew. So there was a real shift in who was favoured here. But if you go back to when Hurts was leading the team, those from the 19th of December down back to the 5th, Devonta Smith, 20.6, 17.4, 24.2. Still really solid. But AJ Brown, 30.1, 17, 34.9. So AJ Brown is Jalen Hurts' guy. Yep. So you got to work on the quarterback relationship here, which makes it tricky because if Jalen Hurts is there and you want to play AJ Brown with him, that is 35% of your salary in those 2 guys. It is monstrous what you're spending just on those 2. And you're hoping that AJ Brown just rips off big ones for multiple touchdowns. He has to do that to really pay off that salary. So Devonta Smith here at 13K I think is a really solid play. Regardless, but if Gardner Minshew is the one that has to play and they really don't want to risk Jalen Hurts, then play Devonta Smith again with old mate Gardner Minshew, who is priced at 8K because everyone's expecting Jalen Hurts to play. On the other side of it, Miles Sanders, still 11K. We know what he can do. And if Jalen Hurts is banged up and they don't want to use him, then let's bring Miles Sanders back into the game and let him do what he can do. Now, he's been soft the last 2 weeks, which I think just means that people are going to be off of him. But if Miles Sanders gets up, play Miles Sanders. If he's questionable and he doesn't play, then I think you just work your way down the list. Play Eagles. I think that's the way we have to look at this. You just play some Eagles because they want to win. They want to win from the get-go, and don't think that they're going to be, 3 scores in front at three-quarter time. Maybe they're only 1 score in front, 2 scores in front at three-quarter time. They're still going to be playing their starters at that point, so they're not going to risk it. Daboll's been too good a coach for the Giants.
So who do you think's going to be the backup, or who might become the starter for the running back position for Saquon Barkley?
For Saquon Barkley, well, it's Matt Breida. He's been the one taking all the work. Last week.
Brightwell interest you at all?
Brightwell, what did he do last week? And when was it? Look, not really. What am I looking at here?
Yeah, to me, do they split it?
Not much. Look, it's a risk. If you think Barkley's going to sit, then you got to pay attention to the news. Who's going to be starting? Get up it and make sure you're onto all the news for us here in SA. Anyway, there you go. So play Phillies. Don't play Giants unless you really are certain that you know who's going to be coming back on the other side. Because Phillies' rush defense is still not fantastic at all. All right. Let's get off of that. Let's talk about some of the other motivated teams to monitor. Arch, you've written some notes down here. How about you start us off?
Yeah. So obviously we want to pick players, the stars that actually have something to play for. Otherwise, you're looking at other teams' backup. So let's just look at the teams that actually want to win, and we'll go, sort of have a conversation as we go. So first of all, San Francisco. They're in shout for the first seed in the NFC. So they need to beat Arizona, obviously, and they didn't win this week. So there's that. And they need Philly to lose against the Giants, which happens to just be played at the exact same time. So perfect scheduling there. So obviously, if they hear Philly are up by 30 at the half, there's the risk at San Fran. Like, oh, well, there's no point. And if they've got a lead, they might pull. But to me, I think they'll want to take care of business, and I think CMC is worth a show as well. Ayuk, Peachy as well, is definitely in play. I did hear some rumors. I think Debo's close. Do you know much about that, Ron?
He's off the injury report. He's not listed as questionable, so he could be on his way back. And at 9,950, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, Kittle as well, tight end land. He's starting to push up to the old prices that we're used to with him.
That's right.
With the usage that he's been getting. Let's stick in the NFC. Dallas, they can win the NFC East. Can you believe it? And
if Philly lose, that's right.
So, a couple teams hoping Philly. I can't see Philly losing. Against a Giants team that, unless Giants just say F you, which, I'm sure there's not a lot of love.
Could happen,
exactly. There's not a lot of love for Philly. So they just need Eagles and 49ers to lose for Dallas to get up. But again, all these games are on at the same time. Again, a lot of scoreboard watching say is happening in the stadium. So look, I'm even more, needing two teams to lose. One of those teams are likely to be up by a fair way. San Fran's playing Arizona. So I think Dallas more than likely are resting. I'm not going to play Dallas, guys, but
no, I'll pass on Dallas.
Unless at the halftime we see that, it's going to be too late. So I think it's too high risk there, not a lot of reward. Seattle, they can snag the last NFC spot with a win over the Rams. So that I think they'll want to play to win that one. But they need a Packers
They also need
loss.
the Packers to lose, right?
Yes, Packers need to lose. And Packers play after their game. So then they have to just take care of business, that's nice. Knowing that they will just, obviously, like any week, if a team's up by heaps, they do start to pull starters in the fourth quarter. But
points have been scored, and you don't have to, they've probably got you the points already.
Exactly. So I think Seattle, and if we talk about positions later, we'll talk. Geno stacks are definitely in play this week with a couple pass catches.
Cool, sure. Next up, we got Miami.
Going.
Yeah. Let's move through. Miami, the cusp, right? They need the Jets to win. They need to win versus the Jets, and they need the Pats to lose. And then, Tua's doubtful, so he's not going to be playing. The question mark really is Teddy Bridgewater. Have they announced that Skylar Thompson's going to start?
Well, yeah, he's got a broken finger, Bridgewater, doesn't he, or something like that?
That's right. Yeah. So, look, we're going to see Skylar Thompson get out there. But it means that Hill's going to be peppered, Waddle's going to be peppered. The Jets' defense has been, superb against the pass. So, I don't know where I sit with this. Potentially, it's do I play Mostert to try and, or Wilson? Mostert's been the one that's been productive, I guess, the last few weeks. But either way, I'm hesitant to pay $15K or $15.8K for anyone playing the Jets. Jalen Waddle 12.5 is questionable. So
do you do it if you're getting that QB savings if you're going to stack him?
Look, I don't know if I can get. Can I get 16 points out of Skylar Thompson? No, thanks.
If you think he was going to get there, you would play an 8K guy. You're thinking, well, you could probably bank in 2 passing touchdowns then if he'll get there.
It's a cool. Look, I think for me, I don't know if I can trust it. Against the Jets defense. So
I'm not gonna. It wouldn't be one of my mini lineups, but it could easily be in the micro.
Oh, maybe I'll put 5 micro lineups in. That's
yes.
Anyway, I don't like Miami. Just they've played themselves out of the playoffs in my mind. Really, injuries have not helped, of course, but this isn't a game I really want to target.
No.
Let's also just this is real thin, but Pittsburgh need a lot to happen. They need to beat the Browns and Miami and New England to lose. It's still possible for Pittsburgh to get there. So, look, all 3 games are on at the same time. Look, I don't love Kenny Pickett as a play, but Najee Harris has been really solid against Cleveland. Yeah, let's go for it. So, if they're all playing at the same time and they start the game thinking that there is a potential possibility that they play, Tomlin's going to have them playing full, all guns blazing. So, Najee Harris, I think it's a really solid play here. Freiermuth been down off and on, but he could go off. You never know. And I'm always a fan of Mr. Pickens when he's priced under 8K. So
hell yeah,
I don't mind that against Cleveland. Let's do it. So I don't mind Pittsburgh here just for the sake that they have a possibility to make it, and they won't know when they start. So I think that's good. All right.
I think just one more. I think might just elevate from the next group that I think might actually start starters. That
sure,
but gives me a lot of fear. Is my guys, the Minnesota Vikings. So they could get to the 2nd seed. Still, I think. I think if San Fran lose,
I think that's right.
Yeah, but they're most likely going to be 3rd. But to me, it's more than that. I mean, they've come out as absolute frauds last week. Like, how embarrassing. I'm still wearing the jersey this week, Rowan. I'm not that.
It was
fickle,
bad, man. It was so
but
bad.
it was horrible. It was horrible. So
One
to
catch for
me,
15 yards for old Justin Jefferson.
yeah.
Good Lord.
Anyway, so they're facing Nathan Peterman and the Chicago Bears. So to me, I would like to think that you want some positive vibes heading into playoffs, and so I think they're going to put the starters out there, and at least a half they will play to get some confidence and some chemistry back. So I don't think they're going to rest them completely. And look, if they're in for a shout, they want to make sure they win this game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. Look, Dalvin Cook, Minnesota defense correlation is definitely something I'd
like the Vikings defense this week for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Now that we know Peterman's there, but they'll probably be popular because of that.
Yeah. How many turnovers did he have in Buffalo that game? Was it 5? Was it 5?
Something like that. It was gross.
It was amazing.
Still
in the league making money, so good luck to him.
That's right. Let's talk some other teams likely resting starters. I don't like playing anyone for the Chargers. Chargers made the playoffs. They're a similar position to the Giants. Baltimore, we've put the question marks around, of course. Tampa Bay, they've locked up the 4th seed as NFC South champs. Look, they've said that Brady's going to start, but let's be honest, they're probably going to play him for a quarter, 2 quarters. That's it. We talked about the Giants as well. They can't improve. All the rest have been eliminated from playoffs. Anyone that we haven't mentioned. So we're just probably not going to play those guys. That's the reality.
Well, it's a funny thing is, like, if you're eliminated, there's no benefit for short-term to resting, but there's always the risk of injury. So you often see teams that are eliminated still put their guys out there for the run. So
I think.
But the intensity is not going to be there.
No, that's right. And they're just lots of low total games. Like if you're looking at the bookies as well.
It's a gross slate.
It's a very gross slate. Very, very gross slate. Anyway, you've got some player incentives that you want to talk about, Arch.
Oh, I just listed some there that may or may not be relevant. Depends. Like some of them are records, some of them are cash incentives. Like for starters, Fields needed 64 rushing yards to beat Lamar Jackson's single season QB rushing record. He's got a sore hip. He's not even playing. So, Mahomes needs 430 passing yards to break Peyton Manning's single season record of passing yards. So.
He's playing Sunday.
He's playing Sunday, so but keep that in mind for that one there, Rowan. Herbert, I don't think we're going to play. I don't think they're going to play the Chargers guys, even though he could potentially break Tom Brady's single season completion record. I think those sorts of records, I don't know how much they care too much about that. But if we want to talk cash, that's on Sunday night. So I think Jamal Williams on Sunday night is going to be a good play. Just putting that out there. He could get 250K for reaching 1,000 yards. Not that he only needs 6 yards, so maybe that'll be done. Like I said earlier, Samaje Perine, he will earn an extra 100K if he hits 500 rushing yards. He's currently at 376. Like I said, I think this is I'm on Perine this week. Get on him.
Fade, mix, and play Perine for 124 yards.
It's going to be a win. And so they might as well just roll him out and rest Mixon, who's constantly banged up.
Yeah, fair call.
Why wouldn't you want a fresh Mixon for playoffs?
All right.
Start an 8K Perine.
All right.
Here's our value of the week. Do you want to clip that?
I don't know if I trust you. Oh, dear. Wide receivers, who have we got?
Yeah, look, some of these are a bit all over the place, but Justin Jefferson, he needs 194 yards to break Calvin Johnson's single-season receiving record. I can't see. Like I said, even if they go bananas, that's 200 yards basically in a dead rubber potentially. So, playing on Sunday, I love Kirk and Zay Jones. They've got some nice, huge incentives coming their way. So I love Jacksonville stacks on Sunday night. Just putting that out there if you're playing that one. They've got to play and win. So, yeah, I've already mentioned McKenzie. Hayden Hurst as well. He can get an extra 250K if he reaches 60 receptions, and an additional 125K if he passes 500 yards. So I think Hurts has something to play for, and they might feed him the ball a little bit more for sure.
No, fair call. All right, there you go. Player incentives, narratives.
Yes.
It's all been the story of
Tell
tonight.
yourself a story. and just get keyed in on the news. Like,
Yeah,
you're going to that's your edge this week, knowing more than everyone else.
All right, let's quickly go through the positions by positions as we do, and then we'll try and make a lineup with this messy week. So, Arch, you quickly do quarterbacks. I'll take running backs, and then we'll alternate.
I mean, I like Geno this week against the Rams. Obviously, other than the ones we've mentioned, I think 13.3K is good value, and where a playoff spot's on the line, they're going to want to win. They're going to throw the ball a lot, and the Rams hopefully will let them. So I like Geno. Anyone else come to your mind, Ron?
Yeah, look, it depends what you think of what's happening with Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. I guess that's a question to ask yourself. Then really, it's not much else. Like, do you really want to? Like, you could go Brock Purdy potentially for San Francisco if those. He's been solid for 11K. I don't hate.
Ceiling's not there, is it?
No, not really. Sam Darnold though.
Yeah.
I know, but look at those last 2 weeks. It's really nice,
and he's got something to play for. He's got to play for contracts.
He does. I actually think this could be the sneaky GPP play here, just to get Darnold and more.
This week I will allow it, Ron. This week I allow it.
Oh, come on. When I mentioned it for the last 2 weeks, he's been good both weeks. All right? So don't hate on me for my Sam Darnold appreciation. Anyway, running backs. I'm going to avoid Austin Eckler like the plague this week. Alvin Kamara is, again, not showing how he's still priced that high. Makes 0 sense to me. Yeah. It's this algorithm that Draftstars is using. It's mind-boggling. Kenneth Walker. Love Kenneth Walker this week against the Rams. I'm avoiding James Conner against San Francisco. Mentioned Dalvin Cook. Mentioned Miles Sanders. Cam Akers against Seattle. Seattle's been leaky and Akers is the guy. And if the Rams don't want him next year, this is the opportunity, like we said, to showcase him once more, finish the season with a big bang so that he might go somewhere else and prove to everyone that his Achilles injury is done and dusted. Other than that, Tyler Algier, Tampa Bay, don't mind it. But this is kind of like, it just gets getting confused about what might happen with the game script, all that kind of stuff. If you want to think about Giants resting starters, then I'm still thinking Matt Breida. Matt Breida is still my pick for the running backs there. And, of course, Major Piran. Wide receivers, Arch, what do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've already talked about the Cincy guys. T. Higgins jumps as the value there. Avoiding your Chargers with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. DK Metcalf, as we've already said, I think Seattle's a team that potentially we could have even featured as a matchup just for playable pieces. I mean, huge disappointment last week, but, we know the talent and ceiling's there. So if people are going to be off of him for one bad week, well, shame on them. We'll capitalise. How many snaps did Lockett play last week? Did he end up? Was he more just a bit of a decoy type?
Quickly find that for you. In front of me, Seattle. Yes, he 33%
routes.
Yeah.
So not heap. So I mean, another week. But really, there's no. I don't know. How
Do you play Treadwell? Treadwell played 54% of snaps.
Yeah, I mean.
No, is the answer. That was the answer to that one.
Drake London, someone who still just is starting to show out as someone who's got some chops, and I think.
I'm all over Drake London for 2023.
Yeah,
I'll leave it there.
Yeah. Right. Other than that,
anyone else? Chris Olave's priced at 9K.
Yeah, but his old mate is even cheaper.
He is Rashid Shaheed.
I think he's good, Rowan.
I think he is good. Watching some of his explosive abilities, it's pretty incredible. I love watching this guy play.
I mean, he's 71% route participation, earning a target on 27% of his routes. So, he's making it work. Basically outdid Olave in terms of earning targets. So,
crazy.
Great news for New Orleans going forward to have those two guys.
Yeah, I agree. Look, let's just leave it there because I think once we get into these lower level guys with the wide receiver group, it's tricky to really have really understanding of what's going to happen. So, do your research. That's all I'm going to say. Tight ends.
It's tough out there, man.
It is tough for week 18. It's really tough. I mean, sure, George Kittle's an option. Mark Andrews is an option. DJ Hawkinson is kind of an option if you think he's going to play much. Dallas Goedert, I quite like. Cole Kmet, I guess he'll be out there because what else are the Chicago Bears going to do in terms of create any offense? Tyler Higbee, though, is probably one of my favorites.
Yep.
This week,
actually,
again.
Didn't price him at $5,000 this week.
I know they were, there we go. They're on the money. Cade Otton, I reckon, could be something here. Just in the sense of let's play the rookie. Let's get this guy out there. Continue to get him the experience. Coming up against Atlanta, I don't know he could slide in for a touchdown pretty easily. I reckon.
Yep.
So I don't mind Cade Otton this week, but then we get ugly. Juwan. Look, Juwan's been a
Always
red zone favorite. That's for sure. 5 for 62 against Philly last week.
Take it.
Don't
I'll take it.
that. Anyway, there you go.
Gross.
Defenses. Anything you want to say here, Arch?
I mean, just try to find out who is, not like what quarterbacks are getting pulled and play the defense, like play Minnesota against Peterman, play whoever's playing against Blau, like play the, all the pieces that might actually, find those turnovers against those backup guys.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's quickly build a lineup. This is ugly. Really ugly, but let's build a lineup.
Yeah, thanks, Crom. He puts this stream on to fall asleep.
I know, the dulcet tones of Rowan and Arch talking about all the ins and outs of playoff scenarios in the NFL. I'd put me to sleep too. Let's put a lineup.
I mean, I am asleep.
Yeah, thanks. Let's talk.
Where do you want to go? Gino? Burrow or Allen? They're my three.
I'm going to Burrow. Let's go Burrow.
All right.
That means I
Ryan.
actually don't mind. You want to Ryan? All right, this is going to be a fun lineup, everybody. Let's make this eventful. All right, he does get the receptions. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Now, do you like Chase, Higgins, or Boyd?
What do you think? I'm thinking Higgins, but
yeah, I'm thinking Higgins. I'm going Higgins. And let's go Hurst.
Yep.
Let's just tie that ugly tight end position up. All right. Now, I really like hitting on Seattle, so we're going to play DK.
Yep.
What do you think of Akers this week?
Yeah, that could be a nice little bring back piece there. Yep, I like that.
Cool. DST, let's just quickly fill this in so we can pick up one last correlation.
Yep.
I don't mind a few of these guys. Philly, I don't mind at all because I think they'll be playing against the backups. But who else did we mention? Minnesota?
Minnesota. They've priced up a lot of defenses.
Yeah, it matches what the bookies are telling us that it's going to be low totals everywhere. So it really doesn't matter in that regard who we play. Let's just go. Let's just go Minnesota. All right.
Almost.
Now we did say the Dalvin Cook correlation. He's pretty cheap.
Dalvin Cook.
The Dalvin Cook Minnesota Vikings defense.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Devonta Smith writes itself.
Does. And if we didn't want Dalvin Cook, then who can we get? We can pick up someone like Waddle, Kenneth Walker. And if you play like Seattle, just double, just hit in the teeth. They really want
or Ramondre. You could even.
That's true. Well, clicking the wrong guy here. All right, there you go. There's the lineup. Take it or leave it. Everybody.
P. Ryan, that's my tip.
P. Ryan. I like it. We'll talk about it next week. Everybody, if you want to follow us and you want to hear about Archer's P. Ryan pick next week, then check us out on our socials at the TFL Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. all the other places as well. Don't forget to join our single entry $5 contest on Draftstars at bit.ly/TFL Week 18, patreon.com/TFL Podcast for our wonderful spreadsheet. And, of course, everybody, gamble responsibly, 1-800-858-858. Arch, who knows what this week's going to bring? The NFL is a wild place.
That's it. Hopefully it just brings us some money.
Fingers crossed. And everyone else who listens, of course. Thanks, everyone. We will catch you next time for playoff football.
Yes. Bye.